Hey, this is Edwin with Making an Impact, owner of Foxhound Advertising. As always, I'm just going to jump right into what this video is all about: how to hire employees for your small business, even if you think you have no money in 2023. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was first trying to hire people, I kept pushing it off because I didn't know if I had enough cash flow to hire the team, didn't have enough clients to justify hiring, didn't want to be bossing people around, was afraid there was going to be more responsibility than it's worth. And so we're going to explore a few ways to get over that here in this video. Now, mainly we're going to focus on the financial situation when it comes to hiring people. But beyond that, in a minute, I'm also going to show you how you can just inject gobs of cash in your business by increasing your lead flow so that it eliminates a lot of these problems. But before we get to that, let's just start with, I don't have enough cash flow to hire a team, right? Because at the end of the day, you got into business to give yourself financial freedom and time freedom. And the only way to do that is by building a team. A lot of people, I love this phrase, I think it's from Robert Kiyosaki, right? He talks about, if you are a solopreneur, if you are doing everything by yourself, then you don't own a business, you own a job, because a job requires you to show up and trade time for money. And even though you might be, selling products, even though those products might be being sold passive online, if you got like an e-commerce or Amazon store or something, even though you might be getting paid much bigger prices for doing things like larger contracting, construction projects, whatever it is, if you're still having to show up and do the work, if you're having to show up and manage the operations, manage the sales, manage the fulfillment, all those things, you still, at the end of the day, you might even own, have a few employees already working for you. So you own a business like that. But if you aren't 100% out of the picture, you still own a job. And we don't want to own a job if we're about making an impact, right? We want to own a business that takes care of us, gives us the financial freedom, the time freedom, so we can go pour into our passions, into the things that move the needle in terms of meaningful influence on the world, right? Helping people, helping the poor, et cetera, et cetera. That's what we're about here on this channel. So we got to solve this cash flow problem to begin with, right? And there's two ways of doing that. First, we're going to look at one of the models that just revolutionized everything for me and my business and countless others. I can't recommend this book more highly. Share the screen here. It's called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. Now, you might be thinking, I don't have enough cash in my business right now to go and hire employees. This is the first step, even if whatever is going on in your business. If you're not on the profit first system, you just need to go do this. All right, this will solve so many problems in your business all the way forward. Now, the profit first model, what's so powerful about it, I definitely recommend go grab that book. It'll change your business, change your life. And I don't say that about a lot of like business books. A lot of them are hype and fluff and everything like that. This one it's actionable. You can fly with it real quickly. I don't have any sort of affiliate link or anything like that. I'm trying to point you towards there. I love this book. I love Michalawicz's stuff, and it's really helped. Now, what he does here is really, really kind of upside down. We're used to saying, like, okay, when you start a business, what makes a business flow is you have sales or your revenue, and you subtract your expenses, right? So, we sold a hamburger for $5 and it costs us, $3 to manufacture or to cook. And so whatever is left over is our profit, right? Sales minus expenses equals profit, or revenue minus expenses equals profit. That's what everybody tells you. Mike Michalowicz comes in and flips that upside down. Is like, no. Sales or revenue minus profit should equal expenses. Okay, so what does he mean by this, right? If you take a minute right now, like to just on pencil and paper, right? Just catalog what you've got going on. Okay, so let's say what are your expenses? Let's say we got 1 million. What's your revenue here, right? So let's say you got $1 million coming in, and if you start with expenses and you look at your subcontractors, you would add up all of your expenses in terms of like the goods you've sold, any sort of materials, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then what's left over is your profit. What Mike Michalowicz says is like, no. let's figure out, let's take a profit share first. So let's take, and actually, honestly, just to make this a little easier, I'm just going to say 100,000. Let's just say 100,000, so it's easier to read. So what Mike Michalowicz would say is like, okay, let's say you made $100,000. What you want to do is immediately take a profit distribution from that. So let's say you're taking 5%. Okay. All right. So minus $5,000. Now your business has to survive on $95,000. Okay. So materials, subcontractors, wages for employees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Now, what this does is immediately, I can't really get into this in this video, maybe later I will, but you can go take this money and start stockpiling it and build yourself a huge, savings for your business. Real quickly knock out an emergency fund for your business. But beyond that, then you can actually start using this money as you stockpile it. You can start using that to finance growth. So rather than going and having to get loans or things like that, you can just start self-financing your business. And then on top of this, every 3 months, you're going to take a percentage of you're going to take half of this basically, and you're just going to pay it to yourself as the business owner, which is like one of my favorite things ever. So it's like, let's say you put $5,000 in over 3 months. You've been taking your 5%, and over 3 months you got $5,000 in this kitty. Well, boop, you're going to go take $2,500, and you're just going to pay that to yourself as a bonus. Okay, and that's your bonus for being a business owner. And go have fun with that money. Go buy fancy dinner and go skydiving and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so that's long story short there. But this forces you to get really clear on what do you have left for expenses, right? And so then you have to start asking yourself, well, what goes into the expenses category? Well, number one is taxes, right? So you need to make sure that, you've got like 20, 30%, 50%, here of whatever you've made is reserved for taxes. So, let's just call that like, let's say you got 30% there. And then obviously, your subcontractors or your materials. So, whatever that is. There's other categories we can list in here. But basically, at the end of the day, you want to end up with this thing called OPEX. Okay. So I'm going to call that OPEX. Oh, and actually, sorry, the last one here would be, why can't I think of what it's called right now off the top of my head? Basically, what you would pay yourself. So I'm just going to put business owner. I can't think of what I call it here off the top of my head, but this is what you pay yourself. And this, could be as much as 30, 50%, whatever. Okay. So whatever your salary is right here. So maybe I should actually just change that to salary. Okay. So what's your salary as the owner? How much are you saving and putting away and paying off in taxes? And then, whatever is left, your materials, all of your other expenses, office expenses, internet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of those things, they get lumped into this category called OPEX, which all that means is operating expenses. And your operating expenses, you want to keep your operating expenses below 30%, even lower if you can get it from there. Okay. So of this $95,000, what is 30%? 95 times 0.3 equals $28,500. Okay, boom. And the way you get this down to $28,500 is by cutting expenses. And I don't have a lot of time to go into I can't get into that detail here. If you want me to do another video way in depth on this, because it'll totally change everything. Okay, so the good thing is you can choose a percentage here. You could, I would say, start with 1%, and then each quarter or whatever, if you want to start moving it, aim for 5%, 10%, whatever you can get out of this. You immediately take that first, and then that forces you to work with this money and figure out, okay, I definitely need 30% of $100,000 here for taxes. So I've got that left. How much am I paying myself every 2 weeks? What is my expenses costing? And the dial you can turn is, you shouldn't change how much you're paying yourself. You should really be paying yourself like 50% of this, and you definitely shouldn't change what you're paying in taxes, because you want to make sure you hit that. But your operating expenses here, this will force you to start looking at like, okay, we're paying, through the nose, $2,000 a month for this service. Is there someone else who could do this for $1,000 a month? And like, oh, boom, okay, we just saved ourselves an extra $1,000. Now you can take that extra $1,000 a month, and you could put it, towards your profit. You could put it towards paying yourself more every month, or what this video is all about, you can put it towards hiring another employee. And again, this will add up real quickly if you can keep pushing your operating expenses down to like near 30%. If you can just keep cutting, you're going to find, very quickly, hey, I thought I was running a small business and I couldn't afford to hire employees, to suddenly, hey, I've got several $1,000s freed up now to go hire a W-2 full-time employee. Or vice versa, you can pay someone commission for whatever it is. And commission doesn't mean you only pay salespeople. You can find people who are willing to go and do manual labor tasks, time consuming tasks, data enriching tasks, whatever, online tasks. And you figure out a way to do it by commission. You can go hire people on Upwork and Fiverr and stuff like that. You've probably all heard about all these things. People who are more than happy to work for lower than what you might be used to paying in the US. If you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to pay that low, like, okay, great, go free up some more of your operating expenses here. Go find ways to get your materials cheaper at cheaper costs, or to just strip away the things you're not really using in your business. Anyways, those monthly subscriptions you think we need to run the business, when in reality you don't actually need them to run the business. What you need is more manpower running the business. And again, if you still come short, you're like, I still don't have enough to pay like a full-time employee. Okay, well then great, figure out a way to pay them on a commission for what they do. That doesn't just have to be sales. It can be any sort of task. I've had people like, hey, if you book this appointment, or if you generate this many leads, like, we'll pay you on commission. Yeah, obviously you can barter services, trade services with people too. There's a lot of creative ways, but the most, the quickest, easiest one, and the one that's just like totally going to revolutionize your business, is if you take a profit percentage first of whatever's left over, make sure you're paying enough in taxes, and then look at how much your costs are to operate the business, and just keep stripping and reducing those costs until you get them to 30%. So basically, of $100,000, you should only be spending $30,000 in expenses. And if you can get that below there, then you should have freed up some cash that you can go and hire people with. So that's the real quick, on the back end of your business, that's a real quick, easy way to solve the cash flow issue. Now, if you want to supercharge this, as always, it's nice to 1-2 punch, right? At the end of the day, you're going to hit a point eventually where, like, okay, we can't keep cutting anymore. We're like, we've cut all the way down. Like, at one point I was literally at like 15% costs in my business. I was like, this is awesome, but I can't go any lower anymore. And I want to go enjoy some more of these profit shares. And I want to keep building this, my business and growing. What you have to do then is increase your lead flow, increase your customers, your traffic, everything like that. My number one recommendation for that, like I said, if you just want to inject gobs of cash into your business real quickly without paying for ads or anything like that, my partner here, Paul Murphy, he's got a webinar he's giving away for free. Obviously there's an invitation at the end for working with him, but basically in this webinar he's showing how you can get free Google ads. And these are literally people with high intent and buying intent. They're searching in Google for whatever it is you're selling, and if you can get those people coming into your business in droves, which is not that hard, because this little part of Google that most people don't know about literally gets you into positions 1, 2, 3, and 4 real quickly and easily. And it's evergreen. You do the work once and it's going to stick there, and it's going to stay, and it's going to keep bringing people in month after month after month. If you can boost the revenue, kaboom, this really explodes the equation, because now you've got more profit that you're giving to yourself every single month or every single quarter, which means you're starting to do the things you wanted to do. Like, literally, it's like the greatest feeling ever. Like, when the quarter comes around, it's like, oh, awesome. I can go put this money towards the fancy car I want, or I can go put this money towards taking my family out on a really cool vacation that they weren't expecting. Taking your spouse, your wife, your girlfriend. Like, some of the best dates I've had in my life are because of these profit distributions. And it's not just because I was like flashing the money, but because we had the freedom to be like, look, I've got all this extra, like, let's go jet skiing and rock climbing and do all this stuff and just have a great old time, and not have to worry about do we have enough money to do this and that sort of thing, and just run and gun. Basically, it's awesome. So you start increasing that stuff. Obviously you're building the security of your business, because you're only taking half of that profit stuff. The other half is just, it keeps building and building and building, month after month, year after year after year. And then obviously, if you're bringing in more sales, more revenue, well, then that means you just got more money to put towards your operating expenses, or towards hiring more employees. And so that's really the 1-2 punch there. Reverse this equation first, get this equation nice and dialed in for yourself, so that you're keeping a profit first, and so that you are keeping your expenses as low as possible, and then inject tons more traffic into the math equation of your business, and you can hire more employees, even if you don't think you have enough you know tra traction right now, or enough cash in your business to do so right now. So as always, make sure that you comment below what you would like me to go in more depth on in another video later, because I'm sure a lot of this stuff, for me, it was new when I first saw like the profit first model and that sort of thing. So if you got specific questions about like, well, what sort of things are in the OPEX category, or you said this is, taxes should be this, and what percentage would you put away for this over here, whatever questions you got that you want me to go in depth more about, make sure you stick it down in the comments below. What I'm doing for the people who stick comments in there in the first 24 hours, we're going to select one winner, and we're literally going to give you a vacation to Las Vegas or Cancun, whichever one you decide. I've got a partner in the hotels industry. They can, get you these like 3-night stays for free. I think there's like some little taxes and stuff you got to pay when you get there, like $30 a night or something like that for the hotel booking, for the hotel itself. But besides that, these are like 5-star hotels. We give these to my clients, for being, awesome clients, sticking with us for a while, that sort of thing. We give them as bonuses on our sales calls and stuff like that. But for the first person, or for, the first people who comment in the first 24 hours, we'll select one winner, and we will literally just, send you this voucher, and there's no strings attached. You're not going to show up and they're going to try to sell you some timeshare or something like that. So literally just the rooms are totally covered for. Just cover the taxes or the local fees that they've got there. It won't be that much, and go have a good vacation with your spouse. Like, go get that vacation that you deserve as a business owner. So as always, hit the bell and subscribe, because my next video is going to be on how to break free from business burnout, and what to do if you find yourself saying, I hate my business now in 2023. So we'll see you then. Stay awesome.